can start.
Okay, Mata. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Subhadra Mai Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Gauri Nitai Jaya Gauri Nitai Jaya Gauri Nitai Jaya Gauri Nitai. Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Mataji.
It's Gaura Nitai Mataji. Gaura as in Gauranga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Nityananda as Nitai. So it's Gaura Nitai. Jaya Gaura Nitai.
Gaura is it?
Gaura yes.
Yeah. Okay, Mataji.
Okay. Primamai Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna to all devotees assembled here. Dandavat pranams. Hare Krishna. Om Agyan Triminandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupa Sagara Jatam Sahagana Raghunath Anvitam Stam Sajivam साधवैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगना ललिता शिविकाष्टान्वितं च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते सप्त कंचन गौररंगी राधा वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पत्रस्तु भयश्च कृपा सिन्धुभय एव च पतितानां पावने भयो वैष्णवे भयो नमो नमः ओम नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्तुते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चादेशे तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। गुरु गोविंद की जय।
Jai. Lata Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण।
Lata Mataji, you're there? Okay, you're on mute, Mataji, if you're trying to sing.
Sorry, Mataji.
No problem.
Narasimharati. Namaste Narasimhaya Prahlada Daini. Namaste Narasimhaya Prahlada Daini. Hiranyakasipurvakshaha Silatankanakalayi. हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः शिलाटङ्कनकालये इतो नृसिंहो परतो नृसिंहो इतो नृसिंहो परतो नृसिंहो यतो यतो यामि ततो नृसिंह यतो यामि ततो नृसिंह बाहि नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो बाहि नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो नरसिंहमादिं शरणं प्रपद्ये नरसिंहमादि शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरनकमभृत श्रीगम् दलितहिरण्यकशिपुतानु भुजङ्गम् तव करकमलवरनकम् अतुतशृङ्गम् दलितहिरण्यकशिपुतानु भृङ्गम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे
Thank
जय
you, Mataji. Mataji, I'll recite this prayer. All of you can repeat with me on mute. Okay. Everyone is on mute. Namaste Narasimhaya Pralhadaladaine. Namaste Narasimhaya Pralhadaladaine. हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः शिलटङ्कानकालाये हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः शिलटङ्कानकालाये इतो नृसिंह परतो नृसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नृसिंह बाहिर्नृसिंह हृदये नृसिंह नरसिंहमधीं शरणं प्रपद्ये इतो नृसिंह परतो नृसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नृसिंह बाहिर्नृसिंह हृदये नृसिंह नरसिंहमधीं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरे अद्भुतशृङ्गां दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे Tava kara kamalavare naka Adbhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanu Bringa Keshavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Vigna Vinasha Jaya Narsimhadev Vigna Vinasha Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Lakshmi Narsimha Jaya Anantadev Lakshmi Narsimha Jaya Anantadev Jaya Bhakta Vatsala Jaya Narahari Bhakta Vatsala Jaya Narahari Jaya Pralhad Maharaj Jaya Pralhad Maharaj Pralhad Maharaj Jaya Pralhad Maharaj Shri Vigna Vinashaka Lakshmi Narsimha Bhakta Vatsala Narsimha Deva Bhagavan ki Jai Jai. Okay, thank you. Prema Mai Mataji, Lata Mataji, and Sita Mataji. Request everyone to be on video, whoever can. So we are in between chapter 2. We just started and finished 10 verses of chapter 2. So far, what's happened in chapter 2 is Arjuna is out of full of compassion. His mind is depressed and his eyes are filled with tears. And is telling, and his Madhusudana is addressing him in such a state. He's asking, where did all this Kashmalam impurities come from? Right? It's not befitting a man who is born in the Aryan, in a Aryan family, in a top class Kshatriya family. So he's asking, where did all this impurities come from? Because they do not lead to anything good, but only gives you infamy, right? So he's and he's asking Arjuna to give up all these impurities, impotences, all his weaknesses of the mind, and engage in war. At this, Arjuna is asking his most important question: how then do I counterattack the main people in the battle, which is Bhishma and Drona? This has been his main concern. How do I battle with Bhishma and Drona? So he puts out his most pivotal question to Krishna. And he says, better than fighting with these seniors, it's better for me to live like a beggar, rather than fight and kill these senior members of the family. And so finally, he puts out his fifth reason for not fighting. He's expressing his indecision. Should I fight or be conquered? Should I surrender to them and be killed? So he's expressing his indecision. So in this state, he finally gives up his Gandiva. He says, Krishna, I shall not fight. Govinda, I shall not fight. Right? So at this, Krishna, verse 10, we saw how Krishna is smiling at Arjuna, and he's now going to address the five concerns that Arjuna expressed in chapter 1 and the beginning of chapter 2. So each of these concerns, one by one, Krishna is going to address them now. Okay. So we'll start with verse 11. Who was assigned verse 11?
Me, Mataji, Sindhu.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Krishna Mataji. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Ashocyan Anvashocastvam Prajnavadamscha Bhashase Gatasoon Agatasumscha Nanu Shochanti Panditaha. The blessed Lord said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna is in the position of a guru now. He's no longer Arjuna's friend, right? So he's addressing, and before he's addressing the concern, he's chastising Arjuna, right? This is the role of a guru, right? Chastisement is always good, especially when it's coming from a guru or a person in the position of a guru. It's very important because it crushes the ego, the so-called ego that is filled in our heart, right? So the strongest weapon to break the ego in our heart, that is by getting chastised by a guru. So Arjuna is getting chastised by the guru. Srila Prabhupada says that guru should be as soft as a rose and as hard as a thunderbolt, right? So it's not that gurus are always going to be humble, sweet, always trying to be understanding. That's not the position of a guru. So guru can be as hard as a thunderbolt if need be, right? So we should not misunderstand the position of a guru. Actually, there was a dear friend of mine who recently got initiated. She's been in the ISKCON movement for almost, say, 15, 16 years, but she just got initiated last month. And there was this certain Maharaj that she was aspiring to get initiated from. And finally, it happened last month. Imagine, after waiting for 15, 16 years. But she was in Guru Ashraya for a very long time, right? And every time, now and then, the Maharaj was very specific that she should keep contact with him, let him know what she's doing regularly, what kind of seva, devotional activities she's been engaged with. So there was a lot of personal coordination, monitoring, mentoring going on by the guru she was in the shelter of. So finally, the time was closer. She was, expecting that the guru will initiate her now, then, but it never kind of happened because the guru kind of felt, maybe she's not ready yet. So finally, when she went for the so-called, for Vyasa Pujas, some event that was connected to uh, the guru asked her very specific questions. He asked her, have you read Bhagavad Gita? She said, yes, I have completely read, understood the Bhagavad Gita. So have you read the Srimad Bhagavatam? She said, maybe the first two cantos so far, but not the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. How about Chaitanya Charitamrita? She said, have started reading it, but not completed. Right. So the guru asked, how many hours do you spend in a day reading the books of Srila Prabhupada? She said, sometimes maybe 1 hour, sometimes I don't read, depending on my time, how my day is. I might read some days, I may not, right? So this Mataji, after she came back, she told us how the guru actually chastised her. She said the guru she was under the shelter of actually told her that, for material education, for all the qualifications you have at a material level, for the exams that you have to sit through, you actually put so many hours, right? One exam, you'll study for the whole year, appear for the exam, and it's a moment of celebration if you clear that exam, right? But when it comes to spiritual education, it's always like this. If I have the time, when I have the time, not a priority, especially though we know that the spiritual education is the only thing that can uplift us or take us out of this cycle of life and death. So this should have been a highest priority, but it's not the case today, right? Even the importance that we give for material education, we never try to give it to the spiritual education that needs to happen. So finally, the guru did give her initiation, but also with a very stern word that she's not eligible to be initiated, but he's being merciful on her, and he gave her the Diksha beads, right? And with that, she came back with this very strong lesson and also a determination that she'll never in her life from here on misreading Srila Prabhupada's book, right? So that is the kind of thing Guru chastisement the transformation that a Guru chastisement can bring in. The smallest of ego, things that we think, is very big because we are so busy in our material life. All those belief system instantly gets crushed when a Guru chastises. We see the mirror very clearly, right? So this is what is happening here. So Arjuna is getting chastised, right? And Krishna at first he smiles, but then immediately he chastises Arjuna also, saying this is not the case it should be. And what does he chastise Arjuna? He's saying, you're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So he's telling Arjuna that previously he had mentioned that, if you remember verse 36 of chapter 1, Arjuna had mentioned there that as per Artha Shastra, there are 6 types of aggressors. And those aggressors, even if they are killed, there's no harm, there's no sins. But higher than Artha Shastra is Dharma Shastra, which says that one should be pious. Correct? So he said, it's better then for me to be pious, renounce all the kingdom, and just not fight with these people. So he had put out a logic that because Dharma Shastra is better, it's better for me to follow Dharma Shastra and renounce and be pious. So Krishna is telling over here, for those who are wise, they lament neither for the so in other words, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you're not wise, you're dull, you're not smart at all. Though you pretend to be a smart, you're actually a fool, right? Because you're lamenting for the living, right? The so-called living. So he's telling a wise person will never lament for anything that's living, not for the ones who have died. Why is that? Because Krishna is clearly saying here, he's laying the foundation for the first part of chapter 2. In the first part, Krishna is discussing Jnana Yoga. Okay, so what is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga is description of body and soul. So Krishna is laying the foundation to start discussing Jnana Yoga. The first 20 verses, after the 10 verses where Arjuna is expressing his indecision, the next 20 verses from verse 11 to verse 30 is describing Jnana Yoga. So we'll understand a little about soul, what are the characteristics of soul in the next 20 verses. Okay, so Krishna is saying, then for a person who is wise, we should not be lamenting for something like this. So he is telling that better than Dharma Yoga is to understand Jnana Yoga, right? And Jnana Yoga says that we are not this body, we are the soul. So since Arjuna is not able to understand that context, then Arjuna is not really wise, right? That's what Krishna is chastising him as. Now let's go to verse 12.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
नत्वेवाहं जातु नासन्ना त्वन्देवे जनाधिपाः न चैव न भविष्यास्त सर्वे वयमतः परम्
देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं
Sumedh
जरा
Prabhuji, please put yourself on mute.
Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna is saying, what are you lamenting for? Right? Because all these people that you see here have been here forever. They have existed forever. Right? There was never a time they didn't exist, nor in the future they'll not cease to be existing. Right? So they'll, even if you kill the body in the battle, the soul will continue to exist. So he's directly putting the pitch that these people are not the body, these are the souls, right? And souls have been there forever. So if you look deeper into this translation, never has been there a time when I did not exist. He's talking about himself, Krishna, the supreme soul, right? Nor all these kings. He's referring to everybody else other than him, which is the Jivatma, or the conditioned souls, right? Everything other than the and supreme soul. So he's saying even the Jivatma, the conditioned souls in the battlefield, all of them existed in the past and will continue to exist in the future, irrespective of the consequence of these battles. Right? So Krishna, in other words, is saying that there was never a time where the soul, like we say in Hinduism, that we are created by the God. right? Yes, we come from the Supreme Lord. We are manifested from the Supreme Lord, but we are never created. We always existed. Same as Krishna is timeless and eternal. He always existed. Even this conditioned soul always existed, right? In other words, we are not created. We have been manifested forever, right? We always are there. We are eternal. So just like Krishna, uh, he's eternal, we are also eternal. So only difference is Krishna is supreme, or he's called as the Vibhu Atma. Okay, and we are the part and parcel of Krishna, and we also call as the Anu Atma. Okay, so we emerge from Krishna, and we have the same qualities of Krishna, the Brahman qualities, but we are minute. We are a very small part of the supreme Atma. Okay, in this context, if you look at the purport here, Krishna is also saying, just give me a second. Let me just quickly go through this. Anything worth reading here right away? So here in the purport, Prabhupada is talking about the Mayavada theory. Okay, we should understand what is Mayavada, because Prabhupada mentions Mayavadis quite often in his purports, and also the terms like Shunyavadi or things like that. So what is the difference between the Mayavada theory? Mayavada says everything is an illusion or Maya. Okay, they say that even this material earth is that we are in is Maya or illusion. So in other words, Krishna is illusion, right? They don't. They only believe that what we see as Krishna is actually an impersonal aspect of Krishna. He's not the Bhagwan that we know with all the six potencies, but he's an impersonal form like the Brahma Jyoti. Okay, and they also say that after death, um, we say that uh, in our philosophy as propagated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we say that even after liberation, after we go back to Goloka, then we go back to Goloka, but we do not become one with the Supreme. Right, our souls has the same quality of Brahman, but we are quantitatively very small compared to the Supreme Soul. Okay, but we are qualitatively same as the Supreme Lord. But the Mayavadis say that after liberation, okay, everything merges into Brahman. So there's no difference between the Jivatma and Paramatma after that. So everything merges, we become one. And hence the Mayavada or the Shankara philosophy is also called as Advaita. Okay, while the Madhvacharya philosophy, it's called Dvaita, because we say that even after liberation, the Jivatma and Paramatma are separate. We don't merge in that sense. Okay, so hence it's called Dvaita. Dvaita is two. Okay, so Shankaracharya philosophy is called Advaita, and Madhvacharya philosophy is called as Dvaita. Okay, and Shankaracharya philosophy is what we call as Mayavada philosophy. And Mayavadis, you'll see that most often they pray to the Pancha Bhuta form of God. They choose any 5 forms of God. It could be Vishnu, Shiva, Devi, Durga Devi, Surya, Ganesha, or mostly these 5 gods. They can choose any 5, but they say that there's no difference. All of them are as equal as demigods. So they actually say that Vishnu is not a supreme lord, but he's one of the demigods, right? So that's the philosophy. So that is Mayavada. So they say that ultimately after liberation, we all become part of the Brahman. Okay, we merge into the Brahman. While there's other sect called Shunyavadi. The Buddhism follows the Shunyavadi policy. What is Shunyavadi? It means that there's no soul. So while we are here, the body is here, we are here. So what after happens after that is they do believe, Buddhists do believe in rebirth, but they do not believe in soul. Okay, they say the mind carries the impression, and because of the mind, we do take a rebirth with all our past desires and whatever thoughts and belief system we have, but the carrier is the mind. They don't believe in this soul. So the body in other case just becomes, it's nothing. So we are at death, we are finished. There's nothing to follow up after that. So it's the mind actually that is carrying on or creating the rebirth. Okay, so you should understand these two distinctions. So while reading the purports, it kind of lays the foundation for you to understand on why Prabhupada, what Prabhupada is trying to say in these purports. Okay, so let's read the purport quickly. And what does anyone want to read this paragraph, the one highlighted?
May I read, Mataji?
Yes, go ahead.
The Mayavadi theory that after liberation, the individual soul, separated by the covering of Maya or illusion, will merge into the impersonal Brahman and lose its individual existence is not supported herein by Lord Krishna, the supreme authority. Nor is the theory that we only think of individuality in the conditioned state supported herein. Krishna clearly says herein that in the future also the individuality of the Lord and others, as it is confirmed in the Upanishads, will continue eternally. This statement of Krishna's is authoritative because Krishna cannot be subject to illusion. If individuality were not a fact, then Krishna would not have stressed it so much, even for the future. The Mayavadi may argue that the individuality spoken by Krishna is not spiritual but material. Even accepting the argument that the individuality is material, then how can one distinguish Krishna's individuality? Krishna affirms his individuality in the past and confirms his individuality in the future also.
Thank you, Mataji. So Mayavadis, in other words, they are saying that Krishna has no individuality. In fact, they even say that Bhagavad Gita was not recited by Krishna, but by something within Krishna, right? So there's a lot of misunderstanding, inappropriate messaging about Krishna propagated by the Mayavadis. So whenever you are associating with different sampradayas, I see many people do that. Even within this group, I sometimes see messages where very clearly they are, maybe they don't know. But it could be as simple as you're trying to join a specific course to understand Sanskrit verses or get better with your Sanskrit shloka pronunciation. But inadvertently, what happens in such classes is you are getting exposed to the philosophy that they're propagating. And Srila Prabhupada says that never associate with such Mayavadis, because that will be your spiritual suicide. There's no coming back from that, because as soon as you start listening, then you instantly develop doubt on, is Krishna actually the Supreme Lord? Because for us in Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, if you don't believe that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, then there's no value to Bhagavad Gita. Right? Whatever Krishna is saying, Bhagavan, I do this, do that, pray to worship only me, give up all dharma. All of this makes no sense if Krishna is not the Bhagwan, the Supreme Lord, right? So instantly when you start associating with the Mayavadis, then you start doubting the whole philosophy, right? So Srila Prabhupada is saying, don't associate with these Mayavadis. Don't even let their shadows touch you, right? In fact, there was this one pastime, Ramanujacharya, he and his disciples were carrying a pallaki and walking of the Lord Ranganatha. And at that time, it started raining. Right, it started raining very heavily, and all his disciples who were carrying the pallaki, they saw a Devi temple close by, and they immediately rushed to the temple to take shelter from the rain with the pallaki along. But Ramanujacharya never entered the Devi temple. So the Pandit inside, the Shaktas who were worshipping the Devi, they came out and said, your Lord himself has entered the temple. So you are his devotee. What is your problem? Why are you being so egoistic? Even you can come inside the temple. So Ramanujacharya says he's the supreme Lord. He can do whatever he wants, but I am his servant. I will only fall. I can only serve the Lord. So he can do whatever he wants, but I cannot do what is or enter a place where the Lord is not worshipped. Right? That should be a mood of every Vaishnava devotee. In fact, in Sri Sampradaya, a Sri Sampradaya devotee will never enter a Vaishnava temple, right? Though in Gaudiya Vaishnava, they'll never enter a Shiva temple. In Gaudiya Vaishnava, we will go to temple because our mood about Lord Shiva is a little different. We think that he's the topmost of Vaishnavas. So in that respect, we go to places where Lord Shiva is worshipped in the right mood, right? But Sri Sampradaya, they'll never enter a Shiva temple. But we should also understand what is their mood. Why do they not enter Shiva temple? Because there's a lot of history behind that, right? For example, if you go to Kanchipuram, there's Vishnu Kanchi and there's Shiva Kanchi, right? Vishnu Kanchi, there's Varadaraja temple, there's a lot of other Vishnu temples that is connected to Vishnu. And in Shiva Kanchi, there are about 10 main temples that is connected with Lord Shiva, where Shiva is the primary devotee, Lord being worshipped. But if you go to each of these Shiva temple in Kanchipuram, you will see that there are like those carvings in the temple. It's called what? I don't get the word.
Sculptures.
Yes, sculptures maybe, or murals or something like that, which shows that Shiva is killing one of the Dashavataras in each of those temples. Dashavatara is of Vishnu. So in one temple, Shiva is killing Matsyavatara, Shiva is killing Narsimha, Shiva is killing Varahadev. So like this. And these murals are created intentionally to depict that Shiva is better than Vishnu, right? So they are intentionally bringing down the position of Lord Vishnu to show Shiva as better than Vishnu. Similarly, in Chidambaram temple, there's a very famous Chidambaram temple. It's one of the Divya Desham. It's mostly dedicated to worship of Lord Shiva. Of course, in one corner, there's a Vishnu deity as well. And it's a very old temple. But if you go to this temple, you will see sculptures of Narsimha being attacked by Sharaba. Sharaba is the incarnation of Shiva again, right? So the intention then is, if you go to some of this old Shiva temple, you will see them openly put down Vishnu or Krishna, bring down the position of Krishna. Though actually, Shiva is a devotee of the Lord, right? He's a devotee of Krishna, and his mood is not in alignment with how these temples are depicting the relation of Krishna and Shiva. So in that sense, a pure devotee of Krishna will worship Shiva as well. But all this other modern way of looking at it, or people who follow Shiva Purana or some of the Tamasic Puranas, they will try to then depict such a way that, it brings down the position of Krishna himself. Right. So and hence some Sri Vaishnavas, they will never go to these temples, or even if they go, if there's prasadam offered to the Lord Shiva there, generally we'll take it because it's offered to a Vaishnava. But even accepting prasadam in such temples, then because it's offered in a mood where they think that the Lord is not the supreme Lord, or Vishnu is not the supreme Lord, right? He is inferior. So they're openly trying to bring down the position of Lord Shiva. So such prasadam is not even accepted, right? Of course, there are places where most Shiva temples, they add onion and garlic. So by default, we don't accept that prasada. But even in other sense, prasada should be offered where it's offered with the right kind of mood, right? Not in a tamasic way. So if a prasadam is distributed with worship in a tamasic mood, then Vaishnava should not accept that prasada. Okay, so here understanding the mood of the, I spoke about all this in such detail because understanding the mood of Mayavadis, understanding why we create a distinction is very important. Okay, and why is Srila Prabhupada openly talking about Mayavada? In many of the purports in this chapter, especially, Prabhupada talks so much in detail about Mayavadis or Shunyavadis. So you should understand what's the background to this. I remember once my husband and I, we traveled to this temple in Karnataka, coastal area. It's called Sringeri Temple. All of you know about it, Sringeri Temple? Yeah. So there's a Gurukul there. So you've been there for a couple of times. So Sringeri Temple, they follow the Mayavada principle, but also they have a very successful Gurukul model. So almost 5 years back, when we were in the process of researching on Gurukuls, on the order of our Shiksha Guru Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj, we decided to visit their Gurukul. And where there was very clear instruction given by Bhakti Rasamrita Swami Maharaj that you're going there just to understand their Gurukul system, right? Even if they offer prasadam, don't accept it, right? Maybe you can have some fruits outside, offer it, manasik, do a manasik offering and accept it, but don't have their prasadam. So that was the instruction we got from our Guru. When we even went to just understand their Gurukul system. So we should be careful, especially in Hindus. You'll see this, there's a concept coined in modern English called FOMO, fear of missing out. Right? So we want to associate with this. We don't understand the philosophy clearly. Who are we associating with? But we want to associate with everything. Right? A little of Ramakrishna Mat, a little of some other Mat, right? Shankara Mat, a little of Vaishnava. We want to mix and, there's a huge fear of missing out because internally we are spiritual, but because of our lack of understanding of what this philosophy is about in each of this, because we don't try to understand it in depth. But Srila Prabhupada is saying that mixing openly with all these other Mayavadis and Shunyavadis, end of a spiritual life. Okay, you can read further on this. You can see that Lord Chaitanya, you can read over here. Lord Chaitanya has forbidden us to read commentations made by the Mayavadis and warns that one who takes to such an understanding of the Mayavada philosophy loses all power to understand the real mystery of the Gita. If individuality refers to the embryonic universe, then there is no need for teaching by there is no need of teaching by the Lord. The plurality of the individual soul and the Lord is an eternal fact and is confirmed by the Vedas as mentioned above. So, and further is saying that the Mayavada explanations of the Gita is the most misleading representation of the whole truth. Okay, so that's on Mayavada. Any questions on this topic? All okay? Of course, it's a very deep topic. I've tried to put it in all 10 minutes, so I understand if there's questions. So maybe as the verses proceed further, we can try to understand it. Verse 30.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna.
Whose turn? Actually, my turn, na?
Yes, Sumit Prabhuji.
देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरा प्राप्तिर्धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. Translation: As the embodied souls continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, so basically what this verse is saying that your body is constantly changing, right? Even at birth, we are born a different size than what we are today. right? So your body has changed. You can no longer claim that you have the same skin that you had when you were a baby, right? Your skin is constantly, the dead matter on your skin is constantly shedding. Just like a snake, the snake may peel off its skin, shed its skin, but we don't have to be, we are not that dramatic, but we are shedding, right? So we can no longer claim that we have the same skin or the same body. The internal parts also is different now, right? It's much bigger, and it's also shedding internally, right? Many things have happened. So we cannot claim that while the body keeps changing from childhood to boyhood to youth to old age, the soul, however, it's also past. That is not changing. The soul remains the same. Whatever soul you had at the beginning of your birth, the same soul stays through all your life. And at death, what happens? The soul will leave the body, because it's no longer, this body is no longer capable of holding the soul. The soul will leave the body and accept another body. Okay, so this is a truth of life, right? It might seem dramatic for a person who has lived 70, 80 years in this material world to say that, oh, that's all, I've lived such a long life and now the soul is just leaving and going, there's nothing more to it. No, there's nothing more to it. This is a reality of life, that after our whatever scheduled time that we have on this earth, we will, the soul will leave our body, and a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Right? So in again, Krishna is emphasizing on the fact that uh, we are the soul, not the body. Our true identity is that of the soul, right? The soul is an eternal thing that keeps moving, but whenever the soul moves, what happens? It gets embodied. Based on your karma, your desires, you will take a new body on your next birth, and that uh, actually Srila Prabhupada says that it's like a huge wardrobe with 84 lakh garments in it. What 84 lakh garments, in the sense there are 84 lakh species of living beings, right? So based on your karma, you'll get to pick, Maya Devi will pick one garment for you this birth, and you'll come in that body, right? The soul will come embodied in that body. So Krishna is giving knowledge of self in this verse, right? Your current self is embodied. At birth, you have a small body, and then your body grows a little more and more. Then you reach youth, and then middle ages, and then the old age. So your body does not remain the same. And your soul is passing through the body. You acquire your life through your lifetime, and then at death, it takes on a new body. So how do we understand? How does the soul leave the body? Whenever a person dies, we often say that the person has left the body, right? What are we referring to? The body is right there, right? When the person is dead, we can see that the body is right there. So when we say the person has left the body, what are we referring to?
The soul is body is left.
Sorry?
The soul is there, the left body is left.
Yeah, soul has left the body. So we are referring to the soul. So we, by default, identify this body with the soul, right? Even if it's the most beautiful person, most a famous person, think of a very beautiful actor or actress who has recently passed away. I can't think of anyone. Maybe Sri Devi, right? And anybody else can think of anyone beautiful who passed away?
Sushant Rajput.
Yes, Sushant Rajput, right?
Puneet
So
Rajkumar.
all of them are supposed to be good looking, very nice body, good build. They have so much fan following. But after the body, soul has left the body, what is the value of the body? Would they just keep the body there, mummify it, saying, this is my favorite person, I can't part from them? No, nobody will do that, because as soon as the soul leaves the body will start to decompose, right? So the actual value of the body is when the soul is within it. You see that? So just give me a pause. So the Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained. So Mayavadi say that, after death, everything merges into the supreme. There's no individuality after that. So in this verse, especially, since Krishna is saying that, after death, the soul just keeps moving on. So there's the individuality of the soul, but Mayavadi says there's no such individuality. So this theory of Mayavadi saying oneness of the spirit soul, it's not entertained as per this verse. So it's completely boycotts that theory that there's no uniqueness to the soul, right? And what else is there? So a sober person, Dhira, is not bewildered. Can someone read this part?
Can I?
Sumit Prabhu, you can read since you read this verse. Or Vidya Mataji, go ahead. Sorry.
The Mayavadi theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained on the ground that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental portion. Such cutting into different individual souls would make the supreme cleavable or changeable against the principle of supreme souls being unchangeable. As confirmed in the Gita, the fragmental portions of the supreme exist eternally, sanatana, and are called as kshara. That is, they have a tendency to fall down into material nature. These fragmental portions are eternally so, and even after liberation, the individual soul remains the same, fragmental. But once liberated, he lives an eternal life in bliss and knowledge with the personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
So Mayavadis quite often give the example of an ocean. They say that let's say there's a huge ocean, and water evaporates from the ocean, and it creates cloud, rain. It precipitates into the ground. Okay, and somehow it reaches back to the ocean eventually, right? So when the water reaches back to the ocean, then there's no difference between these drops that came from outside and reach back to the ocean, right? So this is a theory put by Mayavadis to say that when jivas go back to the Brahman, then it becomes one with the Brahman. But Srila Prabhupada actually says that even as water is made of molecules, right? Small units of water is called molecules. So even when they evaporate from the ocean, these molecules are getting evaporated, and the same molecule is going back into the water, right? Similar like Jivatma. Jivatma is a small unit of what goes back. So it's a different thing that we cannot perceive that unit of water called molecule, because we don't have the kind of senses to perceive that kind of measurement, right? Theoretically we understand, but we cannot perceive that kind of, this is this molecule versus that molecule. But that is our imperfection of senses. It's nothing to do with, but still that molecule is separate unit within the ocean. So that's how we justify supreme soul versus jiva. Okay. Okay, let's read the next verse, 14.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshana sukha dukkhada agama payino nityas tamastitikshasva bharata. Translation: O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They rise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna is actually reminding that you're the son of Kunti, right? Kaunteya. And he's also at the end referring to Arjuna as Bharata. So he is coming from two distinct family heritage. From the side of his mother, he has a very superior lineage, and also from the side of his father, who is the descendant of King Bharata, he has a very supreme heritage from both the sides. And being such a Kshatriya, coming from such an exalted family, he should not, he's saying then, you should execute your duties without being distressed. There, in your material execution of duties, a lot of times we experience happiness, distress, right? Sometimes things work out, sometimes it does not work out. So the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance is due to, in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. Right? They arise from sense perception. O son, a scion of Bharata, one must learn to tolerate. Right, just like in the during the year we go through different seasons, right? And each season we know that it will pass. In the summer, things we start thinking now it's a peak of summer, we are thinking when will the rainy season start, especially Bangaloreans. If you're living in Bangalore, once the rainy season start, we'll think, man, this is bad, I can't even step out of home, when will this get over, right? So similarly, everything will come, everything will have its positives, negatives, but that too will pass. So Krishna is reminding that in the execution of his duties as a Kshatriya, whatever is dharmic, whatever he's supposed to do, sometimes he may have to fight his family, but that sometimes there'll be victories, sometimes there'll be failures, but whatever it is, happiness or distress, one should tolerate it. So how do you understand it? One can understand, one should tolerate distress, like you see failures, you see bad health. So Krishna is saying tolerate, but what does Krishna mean by saying tolerate happiness or as well? What is your understanding?
Mataji, basically, with the changing weather or changing seasons, we should not change.
What do you mean by that? Explain that.
So, whether it's a dukh or sukh, happiness or sadness, we should remain calm and engage ourselves in the God services.
Yes, whatever your duties are, right? Sometimes when we have too much happiness, do we you easily tend to get a little puffed up, right? You want to call up people, gloat a little, tell them I got this promotion, my child did this, my son, for husband got that, we bought this. So there's this tendency to call each other and self glorify, right? It comes very naturally. Not everybody might be doing it, but some people might be have that tendency to glorify. And in that process, what happens? Your duties get neglected. And sometimes we feel if the results is positive, then maybe we should continue doing, even if it's not in the path of religion. Correct. Sometimes in distress, if things are not going your way, you'll start praying to Krishna, Krishna, give me relief from this distress, right? But if there's too much happiness, let's say, do you call let's say you're facing too much success in your business, and because of that you're not able to spend enough time in chanting, would you pray to Krishna saying, I'm seeing so much success and the workload has increased, give me some failures so I can make time to chant? We'll not pray like that, right? Because we all want success. That is the because what is happening is because of sense perception. What is distress or happiness? Whatever is good, nice for our senses, that is happiness. If it's not nice, then it's distress. But what this verse is saying is very important. It's saying that we should rise up from our sense of sense gratification, from our from the senses dictating what is good or bad. We should rise above that level and just focus on the duties, right? Even if it's giving you too much success, lot of money, fame, but if it's not in the path of religion, your duties are not getting executed well, then you should give up that path. You should not be attached to that path. Okay, so here in the purport, it's saying that according to Vedic injunction, one has to take bath early in the morning, even during the month of Magha. This is January, Feb, the extreme winter season. It is very cold at that time, but in spite of that, a man who abides by the religious principle does not hesitate to take bath. Similarly, a woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the months of May and June, the hottest part of the summer season. So one has to execute his duty in spite of the climatic inconvenience. Similarly, to fight is the religious principle of a Kshatriya, and although one has to fight with some friend or relative, one should not deviate from his prescribed duty. One has to follow the prescribed religious rules and regulations of religious principle in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Okay, let's go to the next verse, verse 15.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Yam hina vyatayante te purusham purusar sabha samadukha sukham dhiram so mritatvaya kalpate. Translation: O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. So we all have this question. Now that I'm doing my 16 rounds and I'm following regulative principle, know that I'm not even talking about people who are not doing following the regulative principles and not doing 16 rounds. Okay, for them, liberation is out of question. But if you're doing that 16 rounds and regulative principles, you're following all that, then this verse here will put a question still. It says that the minimum required criteria to get liberated is that they should not get perturbed, disturbed by happiness or distress. Right? So this is the minimum required quality. Think of that. Last time, uh, those who are doing 16 rounds or doing some rounds, can you think of a time where while you're chanting and you're not thinking about what is stressing you out, what is making you anxious, or something that a promotion or something somebody praised you and you're constantly thinking about that? Has that happened to you?
Smart.
Yeah. So
So
what does
always
it
some
mean?
other thoughts come into the mind,
Something
Mataji.
or the other, right?
Yeah.
So what does it mean to be
What's
not disturbed by happiness and distress, and to be steady in the and is steady in the path of in both is certainly eligible. So this is saying that if you're not disturbed by something going positive, negative in your life, but you're constantly that shows your full faith in Krishna. When there's faith, then organically you try to eliminate whatever bad is happening, whatever good is happening, it's secondary, does not matter, because the main objective of your life then is to serve Krishna. Serving can be chanting, you're reading books, all of that is serving Krishna, or whatever altar service, cooking that you're doing, it's serving Krishna. So whatever good bad is happening, that will not keep you from serving Krishna, right? So when you have that kind of faith, automatically your chanting will also become very focused, right? If you're feeling disturbed while chanting, that's because the faith is not up to mark yet, right? Because you're still thinking of things other than which is not even that important as Krishna right now while chanting. So this is your litmus test to see, are you disturbed by all the happiness and distress going on in your life? Right? If that is a case, then Krishna is saying that you're not even ready to get eligible. This is like your gate pass. If this is a preliminary stage for getting liberated, so if you reach that stage where you have full faith, then nothing will disturb you. Or sometimes it happens that there will be even senior devotees, we have seen that they're constantly questioning Krishna. They're saying that so much we have chanting for so many years, but things are not working out. We are not finding a groom for a daughter. My husband lost his job. Then how can Krishna be like this with us? He's not taking care of us. So we should remember that this kind of questioning, it creates a self doubt on, is Krishna really the supreme, right? Is what Bhagavad Gita telling really true? But it also reflects our stages of bhakti. right? Even though people might be years in the moment chanting, but the bhakti could still be very tender. And any small thing that disturbs your or this barter system, I'll do your 16 rounds, but in turn can you make sure that my life is materially comfortable? If it's not comfortable, then everything about Krishna is questionable, right? If that's the kind of attitude, then we are our faith is not steady yet, right? It's very tender, and little small thing can disturb it. Our faith should be that like a sannyasi. What does a sannyasi do? He's the epitome of how faith should look like. The sannyasi would easily give up his family comforts, family, wife, children. They'll give up all, and even though the life of a sannyasi is very troublesome, they'll follow the path because they have absolute faith in Krishna. None of the material disturbance bother them. Like our own Srila Prabhupada, when his guru, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he comes in his dreams multiple times and tells Srila Prabhupada, you should take sannyasa. By this time, of course, Srila Prabhupada was pretty senior in his age, and he has started publishing Back to Godhead magazines. And he kept seeing Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his dreams, and that dreams quite disturbed him because he's married to his wife, he's married, he's got children, and his pharmacy business, he's trying to recover, he's tried to set it up so many times, and it's running on loss many times. But finally, he understood that this is the right thing to do, and he took up sannyasa, though he had to give up on his wife and children because he's following a higher principle. Same like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took sannyasa at the age of 24. His wife was even younger, right? Just married. Second wife, he just married. The first wife had already died. The second wife, he had just married, and at the age of 24 he decides to take sannyasa. But this was based on higher principle, right? So this was something that they had to do, sacrifice on material happiness to achieve perform their higher duties. Though as grahasthas we don't have to follow these examples, but still what is important for grahasthas then is to make sure that whatever duties you're performing is at least focused around Krishna, right? It's not that now I have the time, I'll do some duties, but now, later on if I don't have time, then that becomes secondary, not a priority item. If that is the attitude, then you will definitely be distressed by everything happening around you, right? But here Krishna is saying, if you, this is the basic minimum criteria. One is not disturbed by happiness and distress. If you have reached this state while you're chanting, then you're ready to get liberated. But if you're still attached to your material happiness, comfort, and you're expecting something in return for your chanting, then we're not ready to get liberated. Okay, let's move on to the next verse.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayor api dristontas, tva anya anayos tatva darsibihi. Translation: those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So Tattva Darshibihi, the seer of the truth. So it's even here Krishna is giving some reference. He's not saying something out of his own will. He's saying that seekers of truth, they have confirmed that everything material is non-permanent. Your material body is asat or non-permanent, while your internal soul is sat or permanent. Okay, so both personalists as well as impersonal at least agree on this part of our philosophy, right? So I'm just seeing if something. Okay, let's go on to the next verse, 17.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Avinasi tu tatvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam vinasam avyayasya na kaschit kartumam arhati. Translation: that which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul.
Mm.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
what pervades the entire body, you should know it to be indestructible. What is that pervades the entire body?
Soul.
Soul. But soul is just something that is there in the heart region, right? So, how is it pervading the whole body?
Face
Consciousness.
Consciousness, isn't it? When you hit your feet on the table, the toe hurts, right? You feel the pain in your body. Or when you're having a bad headache, you can feel the pain in your body. Or you take some food in, something happens within your body, it gets digested. Correct? So how does all these processes happen? Because you're conscious. If a body is not conscious, then all these activities will not happen. So where does this consciousness come from? It's coming because of the existence of the soul. So here it is mentioned in the purport, anyone can understand. This verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body in parts or as a whole. The spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasure of one's body are unknown to others. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptom of the soul soul's presence is perceived as the individual consciousness. So, the symptom that there's a soul within your body is the consciousness. So, as soon as the soul leaves the body, then we are dead. There's no consciousness, right? And further, Shvetashvatara Upanishad says what's the size of the soul. It says that when the upper part of the hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such part is divided into another 100 part, each such part is a measurement of the dimension of a spirit soul. So take the tip of your head, divide it into 10,000 parts, and
One
that's the size.
10,000. 1 10,000. Yeah, it's 10,000. Correct. 1
Okay.
10,000.
So divide it into 10,000 parts, and that's
Yeah.
the size of the soul. Okay. So same thing is reaffirmed in other shastras as well. So they are saying here that there are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000 of the upper portion of the hair. So that's the size of the soul. So the soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in 5 kinds of air: prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udhana, and is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contaminations of the 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. So this is how the presence of soul is explained. Let's read verse 18.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Antavanta ime deha nityashokta sharirinaha anashino prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Translation: the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Hare Krishna.
Aprameyasya. Have you heard about a temple of Krishna in Channapatna, Aprameya
Yeah.
Swami?
Yes.
Right? So the meaning of Aprameya is immeasurable. So it's a quality of Krishna that is immeasurable. Right? But Krishna is saying the same thing about the soul as well in this verse. He's saying even the soul within the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. So he's saying the body will come to an end, but the soul is indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity. But how do you understand? Because in the previous verse, purport, we read that the soul is what, the 10,000 parts of the tip of the head. So isn't the soul actually measurable then? So why is Krishna saying it's immeasurable here?
Is it because it occupies different sizes of material bodies?
No,
And
the
it can
size
grow?
of the soul is same.
Mataji, because
It
it's
is an
eternal.
speculation.
Is it?
Because the soul is a part of Krishna. Is that why?
No, like it is part and parcel, but it is still individual soul.
Mataji, because it's eternal, it cannot be killed or it cannot be cut, or in that sense.
That's all the characteristics of the soul, you're saying.
And nobody can see
You're
it,
not able to
basically.
see the soul.
Of course, you can't see it, right?
So how you
But
can
it's
measure it, Mataji?
immeasurable, like Prabhu said, because no material scale can measure it, right? Even if you have the best microscope, you cannot see this and measure this, right? So it's materially immeasurable, inconceivable, right? We understand the term infinity, but it's, in theory we understand it, but to practically apply it, it's as good as infinity, right? So something like that. So it's immeasurable, right? And eternal. So he's saying material body will die, but even if it's come to an end, but the soul is not. So in other words, he's telling that what's the harm then? Why, even if you kill the body, then there is sorry then there's still no harm, because the soul is not going to be destroyed. Let's read verse 19.
Yes, Mataji. Verse 19. Ya enam vetti hantaram yaschainam manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. Translation. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge, for the self slays not nor is slain.
Right.
Should I read the purport?
No,
Or?
no.
Okay.
So he's saying neither he thinks that the living entity is the slayer, nor he. So he's saying, why you think that you're going to kill then? Because the soul cannot kill, nor it can be killed. So why are you simply saying that because of you, then your family is going to be killed, right? It's because the soul cannot be killed. That's the ultimate truth. No weapon can kill it. So in that sense, the soul, which is the real identity of the body, continues to stay. So there's no reason for Arjuna then to uh, be so grieving about the battle results. Verse 20.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचि कायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Translation. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. So the soul is neither taking birth nor death, right? And he has not come into being. So the soul does not take birth. It's always there eternally. And it's just that it takes on a new body, manifests and come on this universe, but it's always been there. Does not come into being. It's not that in future it will take birth and come, right? And will not come into being in future. He's unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. So it has been there forever. He's not slain when the body is slain. So there's no reason to fret then. So the purport say that the body is subjected to 6 kinds of transformation. It takes its birth from the womb of the mother, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. The soul is not born, but because he takes on a material body, the body takes its birth. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not die. Anything which has birth also has to die. And because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. He is eternal, everlasting, existing, and primeval. So, so there's further one more example given here of the supreme soul and the atomic soul, Jivatma. So Jivatma is a conditioned soul, which is us, right? And in our heart region, there are two souls sitting. One is the Jivatma, and there's also the Paramatma. Paramatma is Supreme Lord Himself, right? And it's like two birds sitting on the branch of a tree. One bird is constantly enjoying the fruits of the tree and is engaged in material enjoyment, while the other bird is watching over this bird that is enjoying its life, right? So so here the bird that is watching is the Paramatma, and the bird that is enjoying material life is, or the fruits of the tree, is the Jivatma. And this is how, if one has this thought on how then is, who is keeping a record of all these actions, desires that a Jivatma has, it's the Paramatma within. So every Jiva has a Paramatma within also. So there are two souls within every body. Okay, so let's see, verse 21.
Mataji, may I
Yes,
ask?
yes, go,
So
Prabhuji.
you mentioned like we have like two soul and super soul both exist in our heart,
Yes,
and if Paramatma is existed in a heart, then how come we can go wrong? Because Paramatma is sitting
that
within
is
our
why
heart.
you're reading Bhagavad Gita, Prabhuji, to understand what is it, why is that we do different actions, right? Because in further in the chapters, you'll understand the role of Maya Devi, your action of desires, because Jivatma is the one who's uh, having these desires, right? And once you have a desire, then whenever you have the karma for it, then the super soul will sanction it, because Krishna gives the free will to everyone to have your own desires, your own karma. By your own free will, if you go back to Krishna, he'll be very happy. But meanwhile, because we had this desire to be enjoy independent of Krishna originally, that is why we are in this material world, right? So because we had that desire, if, he is now giving us a free will, saying, okay, you do what you desire, because you originally wanted to enjoy independent of me, so I'll give you the free will to enjoy independent of me. But then now that same desire should be manipulated such that that same desire should take you back to Krishna. That desire can take you further down or take you back to Krishna. But if you continue to desire for things that is taking you away from Krishna, then you'll go further down into material existence, right? But the same desire is also what can take you back to Krishna. So he's giving you the free will then to have your own desire. He's not like a strict father. He's telling you that anyway, because you had this desire to enjoy, you have come down here now. Because of the same desire, you should also desire to go back. So he wants you to come without uh, hand arm twisting you or anything, right? That desire should come internally from you then.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, it's almost time, so I think we'll stop reading. Are there any questions today? Which verse did we stop at? 20. Okay, we'll stop at that.
Mataji, just one curiosity, I would say. So in many in throughout this Gita, Arjuna has given like so many different names, like Kaunteya, son of Pritha, Partha, or descendant of Bharata. Uh, Whereas the other, siblings of Arjuna, they have not given this name. Why so? I mean, because all for all of them, the mother is Kunti. So why only Arjuna has been given this Kaunteya or Partha or Bharata?
because mainly the conversation is between Krishna and Arjuna.
Arjuna.
So if you read Mahabharata, you'll see other terminologies for the other Pandavas as well, right? Like the small reference to Bhima, he's referred to Vrakodara or Dharmaraja for
Yudhishthira.
Yudhishthira.
Yudhishthira. Yeah.
So this way, based on their characteristics, skills, they are given certain names. And Pritha, why? Because of course, son of Kunti. That same applies to the rest of the Pandavas, especially for Yudhishthira and Bhima as well, right? So because they are sons of Kunti, and the other two are the sons of Madri, so Nakula and Sahadeva. So they'll be called something else.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I had a doubt in Mayavadi.
Hmm.
Mataji, like there can be many places where the feeling of the people, it may be like the Mayavadis, but we cannot recognize it.
Hmm.
Sometimes, like even in temples, we're not very sure that if they are Mayavadis or not.
Hmm.
So sometimes we can also take prasadam or like the prayer from the Mayavadis.
Yes.
So is there a way we can know or?
Yeah. The idea is to not knowingly go and accept their philosophy, right? But it's always better to know which sampradaya each temple comes from before you follow a sect, right? Like I said, in Hinduism, we don't do much research about anything. We just have, something of fear of missing out. Whichever is the closest temple, we want to go and pray and listen to their philosophy. But as you listen to the philosophy, like Srila Prabhupada, whenever somebody approaches him saying this guru or that guru, they try to first question, what is your philosophy? Right? Srila Prabhupada may not have known everything about every philosophy or every guru. So the first question is, what is your philosophy? What do you say? So when you have that answer, then you know what kind of philosophy they are trying to preach, right? But once you associate with the temple, eventually you will get exposed to their philosophy, or at least at a point where you know that they are um, uh, uh, at least visually, when you go to a temple, when you see that Krishna is not portrayed as a supreme lord, he's one of the demigods, you should know that they are not considering Krishna, or they have this Mayavadi tinge in their belief system, right?
Thank you.
When you look at the certain temples, we have a lot of demigods but no Krishna. They'll have Hanuman, they'll have Ganesha, they'll have Naga, or the Nava planets. They'll have all that, but they'll not have Krishna. Then there's Mayavadi. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
This you were mentioning about the temples wherein they were showing Shiva killing Vishnu and all. That because before Shankaracharya came, because he came only to solve this problem, no? When they were fighting, the Shaivas and the Vaishnavas were fighting. I'm great. So all this must have happened before his coming onto this earth and solving this
After,
problem.
actually happened after.
Not
Because
before.
no, Shankaracharya has
He
actually
came to solve.
he came to solve a different problem, because he came to solve Buddhism, right? Before that,
Advaita, no? Dvaita and Advaita.
yes, before that, so we should understand the chronology, right? So before that, there was a lot of animal sacrifices happening. People were just sacrificing based on Vedas. Vedas were saying that do animal sacrifices, and people were blindly following Vedas, and there was huge animal sacrifices going on, right?
Yeah,
So
even now
Buddha
it
came.
happens. Yeah.
When Buddha came, he specifically came to preach non-violence, peaceful
Yeah.
existence.
Yes,
So
Mataji.
that is why he said, forget all the Vedas, stop all these animal sacrifices. So Buddha came, and that became so famous that the whole of India was covered by Buddhism. So when Shankaracharya came after that, he because he had to expel Buddhism, because in one word, Buddhism is also atheistic philosophy. It says don't follow the Vedas, so it's completely denouncing the whole Vedic system. So when Shankaracharya appeared, he had a specific motive to re-establish the superiority of Vedas.
Yes.
Right. So he said that because people were so against God and all these things, he had to introduce worship in some form, like demigod worship, or if you don't want to worship one god, then do worship of any god. At least you're getting to some stage of spiritual understanding. Like when Srila Prabhupada was asked this question between a Shakta and a Christian, who is more, eligible to get liberated, Srila Prabhupada said maybe a Shakta, because Shakta, they can at least eventually evolve to the level of understanding Vishnu. But Christian may not get to that stage at all, right? They are completely out of that league, right? So Shankaracharya, he came to establish some level of, even if it's tamasic worship, do something. And eventually from there, evolve into higher levels of worship. But if you actually go by Shankaracharya, what he preached versus what he followed personally, Shankaracharya, in his compositions, you can read Gita Mahatmya, he's explaining the position of Krishna. Even songs like Bhaja Govindam, he's explaining
Yes.
the position of Krishna so well, right? He's
Mm.
written so many Jagannath Ashtakam, right? That
Yes.
is Adi Shankaracharya. So each of his compositions, in his personal belief system, he still continued to worship Krishna as a supreme lord. But for people to evolve to that stage, they had to go to different gradations of worship, spiritual understanding. So he set up a spiritual worship for people who are very low in the understanding of spiritual evolvement. It's not the standard that was supposed to be followed for everyone. It's a standard to be followed for people who are very low in their understanding, who believe in tamasic worship or rajasic worship. For them, that's a good standard to follow to begin with. But eventually, after Shankaracharya, many other sects came, or Lord Chaitanya and all. They are giving free, unadulterated Krishna consciousness. Right. So the each avatara has a different perspective. So even Adi Shankaracharya, we respect him because of because of all the preaching he's done, but his philosophy we don't accept. Right. Even Buddha, his philosophy, though Buddha is avatar of the Lord himself, we don't accept his philosophy because that was preached for a different time and space. So while accepting philosophy, sampradaya, you should have a background of all these things. So you accept something that is more suitable for your spiritual or liberation. Otherwise, even in Puranas, there are different kinds of Puranas. There's Tamasic Purana, there is Rajasic Purana, there is Sattvic Puranas. But people who read, say, Shiva Purana, Linga Purana, Devi Purana, they will say that there's nobody better than Devi. Though Vyasadeva himself wrote all these Puranas, he remember that Vyasadeva has written different Puranas for different kinds of people. Right? He knows very well that people will not completely accept Krishna as a supreme lord. For the rest of them, he's written Sattvic Purana, where Sattvic Purana says, pray to these demigods. Pray as per rules and regulations. Then there's Rajasic Purana, like Devi Purana. So like that, he's saying, okay, if you want focus on certain, you do this, you get that. I want this material benefit, then follow these kind of Puranas. So Puranas have also been split based on the mentality of people who want to follow these Puranas. Right? So not all Puranas have to be followed by everyone. But to cater to the different mindsets of different people, different kind of literatures have been written.
Okay, Mataji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, any other questions?
Mataji, just one question.
Mhm.
In Pranam Mantra of Prabhupada ji, there is a word Shunyavadi mentioned. So what does it mean? I mean, it's Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale
Shunyavadi
Srimate.
is Buddhism. Even Mayavada is a tinge of Buddhism, right? Shunyavada means it denounces the existence of Krishna as the supreme lord.
Yeah. Understood the explanation that you have given. Only thing is, I want to know that this word Shunyavadi in the Pranam Mantra, how come Shunyavadi term comes in the Pranam Mantra? I mean, how
Because
does
it
it
says,
placed?
okay, so it says he's the one who denounced the existence of Shunyavadi and Paschatya Deshatarin and brought devotees from outside as well. So it's explaining the work of Srila Prabhupada. That's a Guru mantra created by his disciples for Srila Prabhupada. So while praying to Srila Prabhupada, they're trying to glorify his activities while he was here.
Okay, understood.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All good? Okay. Vancha kalpataribhyascha kripa sindhubhyo eva cha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnebhyo namo namaha. Jai.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Dandavat pranam. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna Mataji,
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
pranam.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna to all devotees. Mataji, I need to ask you something.
Sure, Mataji.
Mataji, Friday class, first chapter, only 10 verses are left.
Yes.
So then
We
should I
can
continue?
start with the Beyond Life and Death, Mataji.
Okay, ma'am. Because I have to ask them to either get the book or
yes, but it might be best to, if you have access to a laptop, to screen share. It's there on Vedabase.
I won't be able to do that. I don't have a laptop.
Okay.
I have the book.
Then we'll have to send a note to everyone to purchase the Krishna Sevaka book kit.
Yes, because I had told this to Prema, my Puja Devi Mataji, that she said that they all have books and they will read from the books, or they'll open their own Veda base on the mobile and read
Yeah,
from
you
that.
can tell them, we can share the link of the Veda base thing and ask them to read it from there directly.
Okay, you can do that now, Mataji.
I can do that, yes.
Thank you so much.
Mataji,
thank you.
If you don't mind, I can share the screen.
You have yes, Sumit Prabhuji, if you could please.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That will be a great help. Thank you so much.
I'll help you with the host code. I'll message you. You need to claim host access. There's a certain code you need to use. I'll let you know what this code is. And once you do that, you'll be able to share your screen.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji, and thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Mataji.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare